Welcome back to another Fantasy EFL team selection video where I'll be taking you through an early look at my Gameweek 5 team. I know it's a bit earlier than usual, but I'm busy later this week and I didn't want you guys to not get to see my team. So there's a slight potential it changes before the deadline, but it shouldn't change too much unless there's injury from the Bristol Street Motors Trophy midweek. If my team does change in any way, I'll try my best to update you on here, but if not, you can follow me over on Twitter at the FPL Terrier, and all my updates will be on there too. Okay, so let's have a look at how Game Week 4 went for us. And we've had the exact same issue. It's always my midfield that lets us down. Apart from that, it's a good week. In terms of Birmingham, I obviously had Peacock Farrell in net, but they did concede to Wigan, so he only ended up on 4 points, as he did make 4 saves. I captained Alfie May, who scored again to make it 4 out of 4 for him, and he got me 14 points there. And then I did have Birmingham as one of my selected teams, and with that 91st minute winner, that took me up to 7 points for that game. So not bad from returns in that game. The player I was most happy with in my entire team was Bryant Belongo, and hopefully you guys took my advice last week and got him in your teams, as he ended up with 10 points for getting the clean sheet and an assist too. Really buzzing with that choice. And then next to him I had Pascal Strike, who was another strong choice, as Leeds beat Hull 2-0 at home. And then the midfield was rubbish really. Brownhill picking up 4 points in Burnley's 1-1 draw with Blackburn. He did make an interception, which took him to 4 rather than just the 2 points, but I did expect a lot better from him. Jack Payne got 3 points, and he's the one I'm least disappointed with, because he still looked really creative, and on another day he could have easily picked up more points. It's just annoying that he didn't in the 1 week where none of my other midfielders did either. Because then lastly was MK Dons on Monday night. And I've got to say I was so disappointed by MK Dons. They're meant to be one of the strongest sides in League 2, with the most expensive squad, and they look shocking. Just constantly, their keeper McGill just hoofing it up the pitch, finding no one, and then Salford's defence just picking it up again and going again. They had a couple of good spells throughout the game, but seriously not good enough. And I thought their 3-0 win last week would have at least given them some momentum going into that game. But yeah, not impressed whatsoever. And another reason to add to the list of why MK Dons just shouldn't exist, really. Waste of a space in the Football League. Sorry, maybe that's a bit harsh. Maybe not. Anyway, Alex Gilbey only managed 2 points. And as a team, they obviously got me 0 as they lost and they didn't score. Let's move on and have a look at my team selection for Game Week 5. And just remember, it's the international break, so there's a lot less players to choose from. If you want even more tips about that, then after this, please go and watch my Game Week preview video that was uploaded yesterday. Right, starting off with the keeper. At the minute, I've gone for Wrexham's Arthur Okonkwo, who is 3.7% selected. And I think by the start of the game week, he'll probably be the most selected goalkeeper. He's scored 26 points so far, with 3 clean sheets and a save percentage of 81.8%. They play a Shrewsbury side, who did win 3-0 last week, but that was against a much weaker side in Leyton Orient. And we've already seen that with MK Dons, winning 3-0 means nothing in terms of the next week. Sorry, I really don't know why I'm so angry at MK Dons today. Oh well. Wrexham have got a good chance at a clean sheet, being at home here, and should be too strong for Shrewsbury. The other goalkeeper I was interested in was Philip Marshall of Crewe, who I mentioned in my Game Week preview video. There's still a potential that I go for him, but for me I think there's just too many question marks over the Crewe defence compared to Wrexham's. So then into defence I've got Lloyd Jones, who is 8% owned, but that's no surprise as he's one of the highest scoring defenders with 37 points so far this season. Before Game Week's 4 game against Reading, Charlton had kept 3 clean sheets from the 3 games, so the defence is clearly very solid. And Jones scored in the opening game against Wigan. In Game Week 5 they play against Rotherham, who I've not been impressed with in any game yet. I know they just beat Huddersfield 2-1, but I wouldn't read too much into that. They were on top for the majority of the game but still couldn't score. They went behind 1-0, but then the ref gave a red card for Huddersfield and a penalty that was never a penalty, which then gave Rotherham the momentum and then they scored late on to get the win. Before that game, Rotherham hadn't even scored a goal, so I really wouldn't look at that and think that the Charlton defence is a bad idea this week, which is why I've decided to go for Lloyd Jones. Next to him, I'm on Neo Eccleston at the minute. This is probably one of the 2 spots in my team that aren't 100% certain yet, but I just like the potential of this pick. He obviously scored last week away at Harrogate, And this week Barrow are back at home to Swindon, who are struggling so far this season. Barrow have already kept 3 clean sheets so far, and this is another good chance to get another. The only question with Eccleston is whether he'll actually start the game. He's only started 2 of the 4 so far, but I feel like his performances should be getting him nailed into that 11. Basically, I'll just be keeping an eye on the lineups on Saturday, and if he's not in the team, I'll quickly take him out, but I like the potential of a clean sheet, and maybe even an attacking return, against a weak Swindon side, and he's 0.0% selected, so he could be a crazy good differential. In midfield, I've gone for Jack Payne again. Like I said earlier, I was still impressed with his creativity, even last week in a 1-1 draw with Accrington. He's only 1.5% selected, and is back at home this week against Bromley. Bromley did start the season well, but they've lost their way in the last couple of games, and I would just expect Colchester to score a couple of goals in this game, with them being at home, so I'm happy to have Jack Payne in my team again. Hopefully someone can finish his chances this time. Alongside him I've got Dan Crowley, who's on 31 points for the season so far. He blanked in Gameweek 4, and unfortunately I missed his mega haul in Gameweek 3, but I'm hoping for another one this week. He plays at home to Accrington this week, who have conceded 11 goals so far, which is the joint most in the entire Football League. He's selected by 5% of players now, so that's rising every week. And Notts County just look like they're always going to score a lot of goals. I'm not saying he's a must-have this week, but he's the kind of player that if you don't put him in and he does well, then you're going to be really annoyed at yourself. So yeah, he's in there for me. I've also decided to keep the 1-2-3-1 formation again for this week. I know it didn't work out having 3 midfielders last week, but hopefully our luck changes this time. Next to Payne and Crowley, I've gone for Wrexham's Elliot Lee. Again, I spoke about him in the Gameweek preview video, but for me he's Wrexham's best option. He gets in with the goals but also has the most potential for bonus points being a midfielder, and he's nailed in their 11. He's scored 24 points so far this season and is owned by 5.7% of players. I've already spoken about why Shrewsbury's a good team to target, but with Wrexham scoring 8 goals so far this season and Shrewsbury conceding 6, and it being the home game for Wrexham, I can only see one outcome, and I'm just praying that Elliot Lee is involved in that. Lastly, for the players then, I've gone for another Notts County player up top, in Jody Jones. A self-explanatory one really, with him scoring 29 points so far this season, with 2 goals and 3 assists. Like I said before, Notts County always look like they're going to score a lot of goals, and at home to Accrington could be another one. He's selected by 4.1% of players at the time of recording, and is actually my captain at the minute. Captaincy is definitely something that could change before the deadline. All the games are kicking off at the same time, so unless you have a player not playing, then the vice-captain is pretty useless this week, so captaincy is going to be quite important. And basically the only reason I've gone for Jody Jones at the minute over the others is that I can see him scoring or assisting the most amount of goals this week. However, I am aware that there are more bonus point potentials with the midfielders. So if it does change, it'll be any of those 3 midfielders that the captaincy goes on. Again, I'll let you know if any of that does change, and you can follow me on Twitter for updates. Finally, before we end the video, it's just my fixture choices. And by this point of the video every week, it feels like I've already spoken about the 2 teams. But I guess that makes sense. The teams you're targeting probably means that you're targeting players from those teams as well. Anyway, I've chosen Wrexham and Notts County this week. Wrexham are at home to Shrewsbury, which I've spoken about a lot. And if you want a score prediction, I'll say 3-0 Wrexham. And then Notts County at home to Accrington, I'll say 4-1, but it could easily be 4-0. What you'll notice from looking at my team as a whole is that every single player and both fixtures are all at home. I feel like I've been trying to go too different, and away fixtures they're always unpredictable. So for me, it's just not worth it. So we'll see how I get on this week and decide if that's a regular thing I want to try. We're all still experimenting with the game really, aren't we? We're only 5 weeks in. Last week did leave me on a rank of 12,222, so I didn't really improve at all, but I've got a good feeling about this week, and I'm hoping we can start climbing. Maybe we could even hope that some of the more casual players actually forget to change their team and accidentally leave some championship players in there that obviously can't get any points this week, and then we'll definitely climb up the ranks. So there we are, that's my full team selection for Gameweek 5 of Fantasy EFL. Let me know who you've got in your teams this week, and also let me know in the comments, what rank are you at the minute? Are you above or below me so far? If you did enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.